kind of gratitude, you will have the ability to love. If you have no gratitude, you don't love. And I think with all the conflicts in the world, we're forgetting the most important thing we need to do is take care of our environment. I personally think we're going to hear some amazing speakers today, and I want to say a special thanksgiving for them and their prayer, and that we will listen in kindness. Because the first direction is kindness. And that is like the earth is kind to us. We have everything we can possibly need to be living what we call Manova medicine, good everyday living. Don't need a yacht. Mr. Putin's yacht, you've seen that thing? It's really ugly. You can't go anywhere in it either. So here's the thing. We're meant to live in Manova medicine, good everyday living. We're meant to laugh. We're meant to love. We're meant to enjoy life. And no matter what else is going on, we need to remember that. And we need to help one another get there. Because we are part of those good beings. We are called good beings. That's our word for humans. The good beings. We're going to do things that are wrong, but we're still good beings. We're still human. And we need to grow with that. And we need to recognize that in one another. So I'm going to say to the Creator and all the ancestors, and also all the spirits, Shemagwech, 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 Shemagwech. Shemanatu, Shemanatu, Creator, Gwech, 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 Ikanagana, all my relations. Catherine. And we have a very special happening right now. Ursula Jacko is being escorted to the stage by her daughter. She's with the Winnipeg unceded territory, mother of 3 children, 11 grandchildren, 12 great-grandchildren, and an old friend of mine. Following her attendance at the Spanish residential school, her sister transferred to a private school system. Ursula values formal education. She has her BA, Bachelor of Ed, a Ojibwe language teacher certificate, program, and spiritual ministry certificate, and finally obtained her Master's of Arts in Ministry and Spirituality at the University of Toronto when she was in her 70s. A very accomplished woman. Ursula was raised in a traditional home upbringing and always taught her child and grandchildren the importance of education, ensuring they work towards breaking the intergenerational impacts of the residential school system. Her children and grandchildren become professionals in their own right as social workers, lawyers, tribal police, business graduate, and her youngest grandson is presently an engineering student at the University of Toronto, where they all look to bettering the lives of Indigenous people. Her daughter today is Sarah Jane Solier, who is with her as well. And I just want to say very, very few words. I usually don't speak at these events, though I, as Catherine and others down there, are all involved in the organizing committee. But Ursula was a stalwart in our organizing committee decades and decades ago. That's where we first met and became fast friends. And when she went up to James Bay, we would call back and forth and try to keep in touch as best we could. But time marches on, and then we found here she is, back in Toronto. And she was very influential in the coalition, and she also took a very courageous step and spoke out publicly about the forced sterilization of Indigenous women. Other women as well. She spoke very, very strongly. She was at a forum at City Hall. She was up in Ottawa. She spoke from this stage. And you know, very often, some of the pioneers who made such an impact, time goes on, new generations come, and we forget. And yet today, we did not want to forget. And we want to, on behalf of the International Women's Committee and all of you present, all of those struggling for change in our society, we want to give to her this plaque. And it says, we are honoring Ursula Jacko for her courageous role in fighting the forced sterilization of Indigenous women, International Women's Day Committee, March 8, 2025, with the symbol of the bear clan. So please, please, show your applause and your incredible gratitude for the role that Ursula has played in the building of a broad and diverse women's movement in this city. And we know we want to just say a very few words, but we are happy to, I'll hold it with you on the remarks, whatever you would like. All right.
My name is She who sings beautifully in the East. And I wanted to honor Jackie here because she was given this, my bad, my mind is all over the place. Ursula, my apologies. I wanted to honor Ursula here with an honor song because the word she was given. So, thank you. I wasn't prepared to speak, sorry.
Opening and the wonderful recognition of Elder Ursula Jacko. We will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with the First Nations and their century-long struggle for injustice. It's my pleasure to introduce the next person coming to the stage. I would like to introduce Yolanda McLean. Rally March. Ladies and gentlemen, Yolanda McLean. Good morning. Good morning. First of all, I want to say welcome. On behalf of the IWD, I call it the Pretend Organizing Committee. I know you're laughing, but I tell you, we have a story behind this. I want to thank Carolyn Egan, who has taken on the lead of this rally in March for years. And of course, behind every leader, we have a great team. I'm going to ask the team. We meet every January, around the second week of January, every Wednesday evening. We come on a Zoom. Carolyn sends it out. We know what that means. It's time to come on the Zoom. We meet every Wednesday, and we meet until today. And And then we say Happy New Year again next January. The second January, Wednesday in January, we say Happy New Year and we do it all again. But it's not light work. And this is extra work that we're also doing day in and day out because in between all those Wednesdays, we're organizing to make this happen. And we want to thank you for being here today. Today we will have over 10,000 folks out in this march. That's the latest news. So my name is Yolanda McLean and I am proud to be the Secretary Treasurer of QP Ontario, representing 290,000 public sector. Around the world, we're seeing the rise of right-wing forces attacking everything that we stand for. But let me be clear. This will not happen here, today, or forevermore. Because we are fighting for our lives, and we are building our resistance. We will not tolerate domestic violence. We will not tolerate inaction on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. We will not tolerate racism, poverty, and homelessness stealing the future of our families. Are we ready to fight for our communities today? Darn right we are. Today we march to send a message to our employees and our governments. Because we say no, I want you to say no! To precarious work that forces families into food banks. We say no! To harassment and discrimination in our workplaces. We say no! To attacks on our union rights and our ability to bargain collectively. And today we march to give a message to Doug Ford. Dougie! You might have won the election, but you haven't won the battle. You thought the big $200 checks would buy our silence. Well, you thought these gimmicks would definitely distract us, but guess what? Today, when I see all these people here, I tell you, you were absolutely wrong. We will not let you starve our public health care and public education just so that you can sell off some money to your buddies. We will not let you ignore and desperate need for rent controls and affordable housing while your developer friends get rich at our expense. Dougie, we are coming for you, and we are ready to fight. We also have a message to every federal political party here. If you want women's votes, then you need to listen up. Get back in the business of building permanently affordable housing to those who need it. Pay affordable child care and don't take no for an answer. Stop handling billions to fossil fuel companies while cutting environmental protections. And let's talk about the wealthy, because they're getting way off too easy here. It's time to pay their fair share! So I know I don't want to talk too much about what's happening down south. You know that other guy? Yeah. Because from the right to choose, to who we love, to diversity and equity and inclusion, and everything that we value, over there is under attack. And if we don't fight back, those same forces are going to come for us here. But we will not let that happen here. Not in our workplaces, not in our streets, and not at the ballot box. We have so much to lose if we allow those changes to spill into Canada. We must fight, not just on DEI initiatives. Shame on them. Initiatives that have helped curb misogynist behaviors affecting women and other groups. Vote no to the politicians who don't value workers, public services, or our climate. Okay, so I'll bring it back home. That other guy, that Pierre guy? Yeah, well, you know, he's actually failed miserably on every single one of those fronts I just mentioned. But we've fought before. We have fought before, and we have always won! We fought for childcare, we fought for maternity rights, we fought for equal pay, and we fought for the right to choose! And I know we will do it again, because in the face of Trump-style politics creeping across our borders, we cannot take our foot off the pedal, and we are the drivers! We must defend the true north, strong and free. We must fight our culture and our values, where human rights triumph above all. And here's the best. We are not alone, because we have each other. And when we support each other, we are formidable. When we stand together, we are mighty. And when we act together, we are unstoppable. It's the power we have in this room and outside. Are you inspired yet? I gotta ask again, are you inspired yet?
Thank you so much, Yolanda, for your very inspiring and important words.
Woman alive, freedom!
Freedom!
Freedom alive, freedom!
I would now like to introduce Judy Revick, a longtime feminist activist who is a leader in the struggle to overturn the federal abortion law with Dr. Henry Morgenthaler and a member of Independent Jewish Voices. She will be followed by Virginia Rodino, an anti-Trump activist who has traveled here from Washington, D.C. Yes. And will give us a picture of the resistance that is building in that country against the racist, misogynist, anti-trans, anti-worker policies of Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the government of the United States. She extends the solidarity of the American people with us today. We need that more than ever. Thank you.
I'm brought back more than 40 years to a night in this room, in this very room, when we announced that we were going to open an illegal abortion clinic in Toronto. Defy the law. And you know, nobody was supporting us except us. Every party, including the ONDP, were against us. Everybody was against us. Dr. Morgenthau used to say to me, Judy, the courts are against us, the cops are against us, the government's against us, but the people are with us. And so they were. And we organized so well that campaign, I have to say. Carolyn was part of it too, lots of people in this group were. Because we didn't just, we learned from the states, you know, the states at that point, at Roe v. Wade was in, we had to bring people to the state to get legal abortion sometimes. But what we knew was that if we wanted to win a profound and lasting victory, we needed not only to go in through the court system, which we did do and successfully, but also in the streets. In the streets, and mobilize, and organize, and go into churches and synagogues and every bloody school and every place that would let us in to talk to people, to debate. But the most important thing we did, and the most lasting thing besides striking down the abortion law, was uniting with the labor movement. We went to the 1982 Ontario Federation of Labor Convention and the women organized. The women organized. We were told it's not a labor issue. And we said, yeah, it's a labor issue. And every woman at that convention was up at the mic, whether she wanted to speak or not. And we won with 1983, the Labor Ontario Federation supported the working class, even when it was illegal. From then on, we had this unity that we see here today. And I think, the only place in the world we see the kind of unity between the labor movement and the feminist movement, and that's why we can resist these fuckers. Back then, I used to read plants a lot. So then I want to change to say, what do we want? Choice. Now we want resistance. Get old. I'm almost 80. Yesterday I heard that it's the 60th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, the Selma March. When the non-violent civil rights movement marched on Selma, and they were brutally attacked by the police. We organized Solidarity in Action, and the first demonstration I ever went to was exactly 60 years ago, on March 7th, 1965, in solidarity with the civil rights movement in the United States. After that, in protest of the war in Vietnam. And we had a big anti-war movement when draft dodgers were there. And came here and helped us to organize and helped us understand how to fight back in a way that we hadn't learned yet. And so what I want to say here is, we don't want to be the 51st state. But the solidarity between the people of the United States and the people of Canada continue and will continue. The working class people will march in solidarity against the attacks against them and make sure that it doesn't come anywhere over that very real border, which we're going to defend spiritually and physically. IWD. Because Carolyn Egan started IWD along with Martin Mercer's brother. But she started IWD and she's been active every year since. So a lot of times in the women's movement we don't like to recognize individuals. But I think Carolyn has been an amazing force in the women's movement, in the labor movement. I want you to give her a big hand. I've seen a lot. I've done a lot. I've been involved in a lot of movement. But I think this is the scariest time I've ever lived. Because not only do we have this, hold on, I'm not supposed to say lunatic because it's not good, it's not a nice way to call crazy. But I can't think of another word for this drunk guy. I can't even say his name. What? Sugar! But sugar is a little bit of a positive. You know, like my family thought I was a sugar. But anyway, we'll think of a good word. So, because it's not only what they're doing in the United States, which is terrifying, but what the impact of their irresponsible, idiotic actions in the world, and cutting off U.S. aid. Who does that Doge group. There, underneath, it is a fundamental reaction to everything I fought for the last 60 years, and you fought for all your life. And we're not going to let it happen. We are not going to let it happen. We're standing up for the stuff that we're hurting. And if it wasn't for the kind of internet intersectional cross-sectional movement that we need, there's no more single issues. We're all in this together, and we're going to fight together. What do we want?
Good afternoon. My name is Virginia Rodino, and I am the Executive Director of the Coalition of Labor Union Women of the AFL-CIO in the United States. And I'm also the President of the Maryland chapter of the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance. Happy International Women's Day! We have a lot of work to do together. The attacks against us are unprecedented, so our resistance must also be unprecedented. But we've done this before, and we will do it again together. We can see how we as women, as workers, and citizens of this planet are being targeted. Our gender is being targeted. The White House Gender Policy Council was established to promote gender equity and coordinate federal efforts to combat systemic discrimination. The Trump administration eliminated the Gender Policy Council in its first week in office. Our jobs are being targeted. As the Trump administration continues its attacks on federal workers, we see that women make up 45% of federal workers, and that Black and Native women and women veterans are especially likely to be federal employees. Our unions are being targeted. Black and Asian women and part-time workers had the largest gains in union membership growth in the United States last year, and women workers who are represented by a union see a lot of benefits, including higher wages, more access to vital benefits such as paid leave, pensions, and health coverage, which don't come automatically in the United States. But the National Labor Relations Board, which governs and protects our union activity, has been paralyzed. Attacks on Medicaid, science, research, the environment, immigrant rights, women, especially racialized women, and their families are the hardest hit. One of the Trump administration's most egregious policies have been its constant attacks on transgender, intersex, and non-binary individuals. On its first day in office, he signed an executive order claiming to defend women. What the order truly does is allow the federal government to control and regulate gender, encouraging discrimination by the government itself against transgender people. The order also threatens the safety of all women and girls, subjecting all individuals to suspicion and surveillance of their gender, and inviting violence against those who do not conform with a narrow understanding of gender and gender roles. Now is the time we all must step up to protect trans rights. Trans rights are human rights. And trans rights are human rights. With the wholesale cutting of U.S. foreign aid, programs aimed at women and girls' sexual and reproductive health will be among those hardest hit, especially women and girls living in conflict settings, the most vulnerable among us. Immediate consequences have been estimated at 11.7 million women and girls worldwide being deprived of family planning care. And if 11.7 million women and girls are denied access to contraceptive care this year, 4.2 million will experience unintended pregnancies, and 8,340 will die from complications during pregnancy and childbirth. So countering these attacks on our gender is critical to the work of protecting and preserving democracy. We know what is to be done, and we have done this before. After the first Trump inauguration in January 2017, millions of women took to the streets in cities across America to oppose Trump and the values and policies he represents. After a campaign season that was filled with derogatory language about women and sexist rhetoric about women's roles in the home and workplace, people of all genders united in opposition to Trump's anti-woman agenda. From immigration, environmental justice, defending the rights of women, workers, LGBTQ people, and people with disabilities, women marched to highlight the complete and interconnectedness in women's lives and the need for policies that are responsive to our needs. Yes, we in the United States have given the world Donald Trump. But we have also given the world the Me Too movement, the Occupy movement, the anti-globalization movement, and the mighty movement for Black lives. I am here to share with you that unequivocally, workers in the United States are being radicalized. We are mobilizing, we are organizing, and we are resisting. The breadth and depth of the cuts to our jobs and services are touching the lives of every American, and every American is taking notice. Protests are happening in the nation's capital. Highways and freeways are being shut down in Los Angeles by immigrant rights activists. Politicians' town halls are being shut down. J.D. Vance's family vacation was moved by protesters in Vermont.
Thank you.
The auto workers, the steel workers, gutter workers are all planning coordinated actions this month and beyond. We are not taking this lying down, and your solidarity is appreciated and crucial. Importantly, your support can and must be done right here at home. Stand up to your politicians who want to appease the Trumps of the world. Resist them when they want to normalize the actions of the Trumps of the world, and get rid of it when they want to replicate and mirror the Trumps of the world. We can do it. We can do it. So sisters and siblings, now is an excellent time for a show of solidarity across borders. I'm here to tell you that the American women are resisting. American workers are resisting, as we always have when our rights are under attack. Our struggle for peace, for democracy, for fairness, and for equality will only be won together across borders. Happy International Day and solidarity forever. Thank you.
The cross-border struggles against the policies of the right. We stand today in solidarity with the resistance in the United States and commit ourselves to building a strong fight back in this country as well. I would also like to thank Women Working with Immigration Women and the International Women's Day Committee for sponsoring organization for today's rally, made up of diverse representatives from many community groups and unions. I would like to recognize QP Ontario, Employees International Union Local 1, Society of United Professionals, and the United Steelworkers for their donation that helped. I would also like to recognize that when I say you're in the room of greatness, listen up. Oscar Malik, City Councilor and Deputy Mayor of Toronto. Marie Claire Walker, former executive of the Congress. Fred Hahn, President of QP International. J.P. Arden,
regulatory manager of the Territorial Planning Unit at Red Council Treaty 3, and the founder of the Walk by Consulting, where I support my community. My work focuses on ensuring that Anishinaabe laws, protocols, and governance continue to guide decision-making over our lands and waters. I want to talk about today, water. In our teachings, water is life. It is the first medicine. It carries the voices of our ancestors and the breath of future generations. From the moment we are carried in our mother's womb, we are surrounded by water, protected and nourished by it. That is why Anishinaabe women are given the responsibility to care for water, not as a right, but as a duty. This responsibility is not symbolic. It is governance. For generations, Anishinaabe women have been the caretakers of water. This is not a role we assign to ourselves. It was given to us by Creator. It is embedded in our ceremonies, our language, and our governance. Yet, colonialism sought to erase this. Colonial policies attacked our roles, disconnecting our people from the lands and waters we have cared for since time immemorial. They removed our women from decision-making, restricted access to our lands, and imposed legal systems that did not recognize our responsibilities. But our responsibilities never disappeared. They were carried by the women who continue to protect our waters, to teach our children, and to uphold the laws that were never lost, only ignored. Today, on International Women's Day, we recognize the strength and leadership of women. But as Anishinaabe women, leadership is not something we fight for. It is something we have always carried. Anishinaabe women have always carried governance, knowledge, and leadership. Our strength does not come from colonial recognition. It comes from our responsibilities to the land, the water, and future generations. We do not need to be given a voice in systems that were never built for us. Our laws and governance have existed since time immemorial, and we continue to uphold them today. We are a sovereign nation. Treaty 3 is a nation-to-nation agreement, not an agreement of surrender. Our governance was never given away, and it does not depend on the recognition of colonial governance. In Treaty 3, we uphold our great earth law. These laws are not new, nor are they something that we created. They are original instructions given to the Anishinaabe by the Creator, shaping how we govern and carry our responsibilities. We do not change with political systems or industry interests. They are constant, guiding our relationship with the land, the water, and all beings. Manitowoc is not just a policy or a written framework. It is a way of being. It is governance, rooted in responsibilities, not restrictions. It is upheld through our relationships, our collective decision-making, and the ceremonial guidance that has always shaped how we govern. Our laws were never meant to be enforced through punishment or imposed from above. They are lived through the land, through ceremonies, and through the responsibilities carried forward since time immemorial. They are about balance, ensuring that every decision respects not just human interests, but all our relations. The four-legged, the winged, the swimmers, and the moving ones. The land, the waters, as well as those yet to come. We are not separate from the land. We are the land. We are the water. We are governed by the same laws that govern all living beings. Yet, we continue to see decisions made about our lands and waters without us, without respect for our laws, without honoring these responsibilities. In Indigenous territories, development is moving forward at a pace that ignores the balance that has always existed. Laws meant to protect the environment are written without our voices. Industry projects are approved without consent. Governments still frame our involvement as consultation instead of recognizing our jurisdiction and decision-making authority. Across so-called Canada, the same colonial systems continue to make decisions based on profit, short-term economic gain, and Western legal frameworks that do not respect the responsibilities given to us by Creator. That is why Anishinaabe governance cannot be treated as an afterthought, as an alternative perspective, or something to be included in someone else's process. It is the process. It is law. is recognizing that we are already beating them. If you say you stand with Indigenous women, then stand with us when we assert our laws. Stand with us when we challenge colonial policies. Stand with us when we refuse to let our responsibilities be ignored. We are not waiting. We are leading. Jimmy Gutch.
My name is and I'm the former candidate MPP for Vaughan Goodrich, but I'm also the co-chair of the Canadian Kurdish Community Center, and so today I'm here for Kurdish movement. Happy International Working Women's Day. First of all, I want to Thanks. First of all, I want to thank, on behalf of our women's collective, Sarah Free Women, and the Canadian Kurdish Community Center, the IWD committee for having us today, and especially Carolyn, who has been with us for at least close to a decade, forming a friendship and a solidarity that means so much to us and to our community and to our movements. And I believe the friendship and solidarity that we have with IWD and we share, it encapsulates the true meaning of March 8, the significance of it, especially for Kurdish women movement, but women all over the world, and that is Jin, meaning women, Jian, life, Azadi, freedom. And it is these principles that give us the strength against patriarchal capitalism and against what is an ongoing feminicide in the world, both on a structural and a state level. And it gave Kurdish women movement the strength to defeat ISIS and the jihadist mentality against women that is perpetuating this feminicide. Once again, we wait with bated breath to see what is in store for the autonomous administration of northern and eastern Syria, and what will happen this time. But our women are always ready to fight for life and freedom. Our revolutionary leader, Abdullah Öcalan, has recently made a declaration for peace and freedom. And today, he had a special message for Kurdish women movement especially, but for women all over the world. And that is that in order to achieve freedom, peace, and ecology, it must be led by women. It must be led by all women. So I say, in the name and honor of our martyrs, our Shaheed, Sakina, Rojdin, Ronahi, Beritan, Zilan, and Iron Merkel, and so many other incredible women who give us the strength and the courage today to keep fighting. Fighting towards peace, freedom, and resistance. You guys gonna join me in a chant? Okay. So, I'm gonna say Jin. Jin. Okay, we've got more great things on the program. And we also want to make sure that we express our solidarity with our 2S LGBTQI comrades. Are being legislated against in the United States and so many other countries where they experience violence and harassment. Shame. We support trans people everywhere. Collective, an all-Filipina collective that explores different mediums to describe Filipino diaspora. Please welcome them. Hello, how's everyone doing?
interdisciplinary comedians. I'm going to stand here. Okay, great, in the center. And yeah, we're here to do some musical comedy for folks today. Are there any Filipinos in the crowd? Yeah, thanks, sir. Gonna be here, okay. And so, you know, it's spring. Spring has sprung, and usually, I love to share a bit of our culture with you. Generally around this time, it means it's time for us Filipinos to start celebrating Christmas. So this is a traditional Filipino carol about interracial relationships. On the first date we went on, my new love said to me, "It's not racist, you're being sensitive." On the second day we went on, my new love said to me, "Do you celebrate Christmas? It's not racist, you're being sensitive." On the third day we went on, my new love said to me, "What's your real accent? Do you celebrate Christmas? It's not racist, you're being sensitive." On the fourth day we went on, my new love said to me, "Your English is so good, what's your real accent? Do you celebrate Christmas? It's not racist, you're being sensitive." On the fifth day we went on, my new love said to me, "Where are you from? Your English is so good, what's your real accent? Do you do Christmas? It's not racist, you're being sensitive." On the 12th day we went on, my new love said to me, "That's just how my dad is. He doesn't mean it's how he grew up. He doesn't understand our interracial relationship. He doesn't mean the things he says, like, I'm not yellow fever. It smells so funny. Stealing all our jobs. Things too complicated. We were all you Billy. You're not really from here. Go back to your country. Where are you from? Where are you really from? Where are you really, really from? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Just stay quiet. Your English is so good. What's your real accent? Do you do Christmas? It's not racist. You're being sensitive. That's a traditional Filipino. Our next song is we want to teach you a word. The word is suplada. Suplada. So if you've ever been called a typical woman, you know, you've never been called too much. That's what suplada means. So we're gonna take that word back. Yes. With are you ready? Yes. Okay, here we go. Starts. No. Oh my God, you know they call me the other day? They call me suplada. Ew. That is so rude. You should tell somebody that. I should on International Women's Day. You know what? I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. Hit it. Please hold. On International Women's. Yeah, I can. It's wild. It's wild. We should sing about it. We should sing about it. No. Suplada. Oh, spinning wheel up there. Let's just watch it. We'll watch it together. It's being a little suplada, and that's okay. Yes, suplada. Let's give it up for all the supladas. Yes. Okay, well, let's go to the last song. Yeah, we'll come back to this one. Is that cool? Yeah. Oh, where? Don't forget about the word suplada. We'll come back to it. Okay. Good? Okay. So the next song, the computer's being suplada, and so the next song is dedicated to all of the eldest daughters. Are there any eldest daughters in the crowd? So especially today on International Women's Day,
We're so, so grateful for you. And so this is a little shanty we put together in honor of all of our big sisters, titas, moms, who paved the way for us. And Paula, we thank you for this. Sorry. There's a lot of acapella either way. Okay, ready? Ready? Okay. The eldest daughter, when she is born, the very day she is sworn to protect her family, and some more is the tale of the eldest daughter. Thank you for all you've done for raising us, and then there's some. You are our heart and soul, our love to the eldest daughter. The fight she fights are left untold. She walks through life so merry and bold. She's old, more house, more love, more gold. Is a tale of the eldest daughter. Thank you for all you've done for raising us, and then there's some. You are our heart and soul, our love to the eldest daughter. It often feels like she's alone against the world and the unknown. We all gain from what she has sown. 'Tis a tale of the eldest daughter. Thank you for all you've done for raising us, and then there's some. You are our heart and soul, our love to the eldest daughter. Thank you for all you've done for raising us, and then there's some. You are our heart and soul, our love to the eldest daughter. Hey! Should we try one more and then we're gonna do this acapella skis? Yeah, we'll figure it out. AP, what's your project networking MOV? Can we sing to that? We'll work again, great. Okay, shucks. Okay, we're gonna do this acapella. Right? Ooh. Yeah, and you know, if you feel like you can be part of the backing track, do it. Why not? Together, if you like. Okay, here we go. Okay, and begin. Oh my God, you know what they called me the other day? What? They called me Suplada.
Ew, that's so rude. Why did they call you
I
that?
don't know why they call me that, but I think I know why. And this is where the music plays. Ooh. They call me Suplada because I got a lot of healthy boundaries. So they think I'm a snob. Ooh. They call me Suplada. I make money for myself. Ooh. They call me Suplada because I'm an introvert and I hate people. Ooh. They call me Suplada because I'm a woman and I breathe today. Ooh. They call me Suplada because I don't like peach mango pie. Whoa. I don't know, I don't like it. Okay, that's not what I like. That's okay. I said offensive, but whatever. Ooh. They call me Suplada. How can you not like peach mango pie? Ooh. They call me Suplada. Peach mango pie is the best. Ooh. They call me Suplada. It's part of our hair heritage. Ooh. They call me Suplada. I don't think we can be friends anymore. I thought this was a safe space for people who like peach mango pie. Ooh. And that's for the Tina Collective. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you so much. Let's give it up to all the organizers. Have a great day. Stay safe.
I would now like
Toronto and across the country in support of the Palestinian struggle. She will be followed by Najbat Alina, who is representing the courageous migrant workers who set up a month-long encampment in Brampton, fighting the federal government's attempt to deport them, after promising permanent residency. Good enough to work?
Before we begin, I'd like to thank Carolyn and the committee for giving Palestine a platform today. The legendary Palestinian poet Fadl Khan once said, "اصمدي لا تضعفي يا ابنة عمي. هذه الأرض التي تحصدها نار الجريمة والتي تنكمش اليوم بحزن وسكوت. هذه الأرض سيبقى قلبها المخدور حيا لا يموت. هذه الأرض امرأة في الأخاريط وفي الأرحام. قوة السر التي تنبت نخلا وسنابل تنبت الشعب المقاتل." My sister, our land has a throbbing heart. It doesn't cease to beat, and it endures the unendurable. This land sprouting with spikes and palms is also the land that gives birth to a freedom fighter. This land, my sister, is a woman. On March 8th, the world celebrates International Women's Day to honor the lives of women throughout history. This International Women's Day, we, the Palestinian Youth Movement, pay homage to Palestinian women everywhere who have been pillars in our struggle for justice, liberation, and return to Palestine. That freedom entails the end of Zionist settler colonialism, imperialism, gender-based violence, exclusion, inequity, and other forms of structural oppression that govern Palestinian land and life. Since the early phases of Zionist occupation in Palestine, acts and threats of sexual violence have been among the most instrumental weapons used to destroy Palestinian bonds to land and to one another. Shame. This is part of the greater process of ethnic cleansing. Today, countless numbers of racist and gendered laws inscribed within Israeli law legitimize state-sanctioned violence and control over Palestinian women's bodies, movement, economic sovereignty, and access to justice, particularly for Palestinian citizens of the settler state. Shame. Israel's ongoing genocide against the Palestinian people in Gaza has triggered and escalated an unprecedented humanitarian catastrophe, deliberately inflicting severe and far-reaching life-threatening conditions on Palestinian women. Since October 2023, Gaza has been under a total siege imposed by Israeli government, severely restricting the entry of food, fuel, medical supplies, and other resources essential for survival. Shame. In addition to the hundreds of thousands of Palestinian deaths and injuries caused by this genocide, pregnant women and mothers of newborns have been disproportionately affected by this genocidal policy, facing heightened risks due to malnutrition, medical shortages, and the collapse of healthcare services. Shame. Palestinian women debilitation, and injury to Palestinian bodies have become quintessential characteristics of Zionist colonialism. Under an increasingly robust Israeli surveillance apparatus, Palestinian women are denied the right to safety both in public and in private life. Israeli home invasions in the middle of the night that tear families apart are but one illustrative example of the persistent torment Palestinians endure and the various ways population control techniques reinforce the control of women's bodies, relationships, spirituality, practices of intimacy, and home life. Shame. That being said, we are acutely aware of how women's rights have been co-opted by NGOs as well as by liberal Zionist, imperialist, Islamophobic, and Orientalist feminist discourses that reinforce racist stereotypes about Arabs and Muslims. These narratives falsely attribute the violence Palestinian women face to cultural and religious dogma, erasing and even justifying the systemic violence of the Israeli occupation and calling it the beacon of feminism in the Middle East. Shame. Partisans of Zionism insist on the feminist character of their settler state. Where else, they ask, can you witness the forced conscription of women into an army tasked with snuffing out the flame of Palestinian lives? How can we possibly tally the number of glass ceilings shattered when the boot on the neck of the Palestinian child is attached to a woman's leg? What could be more empowering than a born teenage girl in an airport terminal telling a Palestinian woman she has no right to enter the land of her birth? As a collective of Palestinians, most of whom are women, we reject all forms of pseudo-feminist solidarity with Palestine and affirm that ending violence against women is not separate from but integral to the broader Palestinian struggle for return, freedom, and dignity. Under colonial siege and occupation, be it in Palestine, the Congo, Sudan, or elsewhere, women and the life they sustain are often primary targets of violence in all its forms. We believe that ending the Zionist settler colonial state is an integral step in the freedom of women, Palestinian or otherwise, everywhere. We salute Palestinian women today and every day, and we commit our lives to political and social liberation as one people and one struggle.
Wonderful day it is, and there are so many wonderful women in this room and so many amazing speakers. I am feeling like I don't have additional words to say when I'm listening to these wonderful women. But what an honor here today to stand before you as a former international student and a worker now in Canada. As we celebrate International Women's Day, and we are talking about the progress so many of us have made so far, I would like to talk about one particular section of women in the society which is not very often talked about, and that section is one of the most vulnerable section in our society. International Day is definitely a time to support the strength, resilience, and contribution women from all walks of life have made. As we reflect these achievements, let's also recognize the ongoing struggles, especially for these most vulnerable sections of the society. And in my experience, one of the most pressing concerns is the exploitation faced by female international students and migrant workers in Canada. Many of us arrive in Canada with dreams economic vulnerability makes us even more vulnerable to other types of exploitation such as wage thefts, which is very normal, other forms of exploitations, in some cases even human trafficking or sexual exploitations. Too often, these international students, female international students, they work for the jobs which are underpaid, unsafe, and they are made to believe that they don't have any rights to speak up in this country. I'd like to tell a very short story here. I have a cousin. She came here in Canada in 2022 on international student permit. She didn't get a job for 8 or 9 months. And you can imagine how hard it must be for her to survive without a job when she was paying the tuition fees which are 3 to 4 times higher than the domestic students. So after 8 or 9 months, she got a job. Of course, it was less than minimum wages, but she accepted because she wants to survive. There was no other option for her to survive. Recently, after 6 months in that job, I just sat down with her just to see how is she doing, what's going on. And I noticed that there are burns both on her arms. She's working in a restaurant in Mississauga, in the kitchen of the restaurant. And I just noticed the burn marks on both her arms. I just asked, what are these? She said, oh, these are regular burns from hot oil or something else in the kitchen. And those were prominent marks. And I asked, like, don't you feel like you should ask your employer to provide some safety equipment or some sort of safety? She said, no, he is giving me a job. What else can I ask to him? She is made to believe that she don't have any rights in this country. Is this a question of your status in this country that you have to ask for basic human rights? And this is not an isolated story. This is the story of thousands and thousands of international students, female international students. And we have heard so often that international students, especially female international students, they have to struggle in isolation because they are more vulnerable to all sorts of exploitations. They have to go through multiple layers of exploitation while they are trying to navigate through the already complicated and complex immigration system in this country. And nobody is talking about that issue, at least at a larger level. This issue is not being talked about a lot. Beyond the workplace, female migrant students and workers face additional conditions related to housing, and because they also suffer in isolation, they have to work in substandard conditions and they suffer isolation, and there is almost no mental health support for them as they don't have the networks as locals do. So often they suffer not only the economic pressure, financial burden, but also severe mental health issues. We might have heard a lot of cases of suicides where these young international students, female international students, end up ending their life. And the end of their life is not just one isolated case. These are happening at an alarming rate. There are a lot of stories. And one more important thing is that these deaths or suicides go untracked because Government of Canada don't track the data of deaths of international students. You can ask though to funeral homes and they can give you the figures how many dead bodies they are sending back to their native countries. But let me tell you, resistance is happening. Female international students and migrant workers are fighting back. Members of both Lodge 1 Support Network and Postgraduate Work Committee consist of women international students are getting organized. And we are getting organized against exploitative employers getting organized, we not only protect our rights, but stand in solidarity with those targeted by xenophobia and discrimination. Now more than ever, we must amplify our voices to challenge the injustice, remind the world that women's rights are human rights, and build a future where unity and compassion triumph over fear and exclusion. At the end, I just want to say thank you for organizing this amazing event, and I would also like to say that gender equality is not just a fight for women alone. It is a shared mission, a responsibility for everyone, regardless of the gender, regardless of our immigration status, or regardless of our position in the society. Thank you.
Back for their powerful speeches today. I would like to introduce you to Jenny Ahn, who's a trade unionist and an organizer with the Working Immigrant Women. Buckets will be coming through the audience, and we hope you will give generously.
Thanks, Gloria. Organizer with Women Working with Immigrant Women, planning for IWD Toronto for 26, 27 years. You'd think I get the mic all figured out here on the stage. Anyways, it's great to see all of you here in the room. And of course, as we've heard from the many speakers, IWD comes at an unprecedented time. And it's a moment that's filled with uncertainty in this precarious and dangerous moment. But I also want to take a moment and also reflect on our many successes. Collectively, we have made progress, and we will continue to fight so we do not turn things back. But I'm here because our fight can only continue through your support. So, no matter how big or small, you can see that the marshals are out with their buckets. So please donate what you can, because it's your collective contributions that's really vital for us to continue IWD Toronto. We do this through volunteer support from the unions, but we do this most importantly and because of all of you in this room. IWD Toronto is the largest and oldest IWD march in all of North America. For 45 years, because of all of you that are here today. So, together, we're going to send a powerful message me today, I'm going to get right into my speech. It has been 693 days since the counter-revolutionary war broke out in Sudan. The displacement and humanitarian conditions are calamitous. In a country with a population of roughly 40 million people, over 13 million have been displaced, over 200,000 have been murdered, and more than 25.6 million people are experiencing a man-made famine in a country considered the breadbasket of the world. In April of 2019, the Sudanese people, comprised of women, girls, and youth, engineered a glorious revolution that deposed the 30-year military dictatorship of Omar al-Bashir. This destruction and fighting a larger imperial war for global superpower dominance on the Sudanese people. This war is being waged on Sudanese women's bodies, the first casualties of militarized conflict. Sexual violence, sexual slavery, forced marriages, and rape are the gendered contours of this war. Sudanese women and girls are doing the most unimaginable things to survive. They are navigating their shifting gender roles in war zones, feeding their families and communities in soup kitchens. And they also make a majority of the people in internal displacement camps that are receiving little to no humanitarian aid. They are raising families, mothering, educating school-age children in makeshift schools, planting seeds on their land, running protection and evacuation supports, performing surgery and providing maternal and reproductive health care, reporting on the war as journalists, and picking up arms to defend their land and their communities. Their existence and resistance has long been silenced in any meaningful participation in Sudanese politics, in peace and reconstruction processes in the past, and in the present, their existence in the counter-revolutionary war is erased. The Sudanese Solidarity Collective, comprised of Sudanese women in the diaspora, formed in April 2023 and has been resourcing and supporting these women's frontline war relief efforts, particularly in emergency response rooms and in Sudanese civilian-led groups. Today, in a room full of feminists, and in the spirit of building feminist and coalition solidarities across difference, I urge you to join in solidarity with the Sudanese women's struggle, who are modeling a form of popular democracy as we speak. We are here in the diaspora. We are here in the diaspora as your colleagues, as your friends, co-workers, and co-conspirators. We are here in your anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist, anti-colonial, decolonial, Black, Arab, transnational, Pan-Africanist, communist, feminist movements. We cannot live without our lives. We are survivors too. And we need you all to believe us and believe in our specific struggles, history, and context. Find the connections to your struggles and together become a fierce force that will make a better and more just world for possible and all future generations to come.
I would like to recognize in the room Claudette Beals, mother of Regis Korchinski Paquette. Regis was killed by Toronto police in 2020. Police showed up to their family's apartment for a so-called wellness check, which resulted in the death of Regis. Regis was one of many Black and Indigenous people murdered by police in Canada. I would also like to recognize Karen Brown, president of ETFO. I would now like to introduce Nas Nudalahi, a strong working class fighter, president of Cuban Local. We are thrilled that you have taken time out of the negotiations to be with us today. Nas will be followed by Nicole Brennan, a uniform member for 26 years who worked at the Fort Oakville Assembly Plant and a member of the local 707.
Congratulations, Local 79. It's hard to follow so many wonderful speakers, but I'll just say a few words. I think it'll be shorter. I came here in Canada in 1987 as a 7-year-old from Iran, daughter of a refugee, and to a mother who carried 3 kids on her shoulders when my father escaped as a political prisoner in Iran to get us here. When we came here, my dad had been saving pennies so that when we were finally able to join him, we didn't have to feel like we were lacking or we didn't have enough. Our experiences as immigrants in this country has shaped us. We haven't forgotten the days when we didn't know how to speak the language or we felt like we had to go out of our way to fit in. Each and every one of our experiences is important because they shape the way, or they ought to shape the way that we move through time and space. And it's important to consider the kind of world that we want to leave behind. I used to think that I had to change the world to have made a difference. I now know that one person cannot change the world. But many people doing small things together can make a significant difference. I never thought that a little girl from Tehran would be leading the largest municipal local in this country. But also I realized that the struggle in the labor movement and for working class people is not different than my father's struggle in Iran to see better. In spite of being imprisoned, it didn't shallow their determination or weaken their strength. They continued to fight. And despite the barriers that are in front of us, in this city, in this province, in this country, in this world, we have a duty to continue to fight. And I think we're doing ourselves a disservice if we fight in silos. Fighting in silos is what has landed us with the Trumps and the Fords. Operating in these bubbles that are unique to your affiliation, your union, your whatever it is that you believe. And forgetting that we're all working class people is what has kept us small. When you think about the fact that these people who are calling the shots, the millionaires, the billionaires, are rich because of working class people, you really have to wonder, what are we doing with our power? Where are we placing our power? If you take a 2 square kilometer anywhere and look at it, it's operating because working class people are working. What happens if we don't show up to work? When I came into office last January, early 2024, the men at City Hall said, "Here, I'll show you the way. Come, just follow me. I have more experience. I've been doing this for a while." I thought that was cute. I think yesterday we showed them who runs City Hall. The misogyny, the patriarchy, the bullshit is plentiful. When people say, confuse my passion with anger, I point out their misogyny. Some of our own members said, Naz is from a war-torn country, so she wants to take us on strike because that's just what she likes. Shame. Shame. It's true. I like a good fight. Because let me tell you what living through being born into an 8-year war does to you. It makes you resilient. It gives you grit. You know how to persevere. Survival. And you fucking fight like hell. Yeah. Let's take a moment and just be honest with ourselves, okay? Misogyny is not just showing up in spaces by men and through those who identify as men or men. Let's call ourselves out for a second. The comments I've heard have predominantly come from women or those who identify as women. we're not helping ourselves. We're weakening our strength. I come from a local union that's 70% women and 60% racialized. We hold the city of Toronto on our backs. It's a shame that our long-term care workers can't strike, because let me tell you, the largest group of racialized women at Local 79 are long-term care workers. And even though they can't walk, when we held our info pickets, they all came out. Well, just tell us that if we walk, you've got us, but you can't walk. Okay, we're not there yet, you can't walk. We'll bring the stretchers and the patients with us. Just let us walk. It's because they understand the struggle. We understand the struggle. It is our life experiences that allow us to give ourselves permission to struggle and to fight. Organizing is important. Again, let's call ourselves out. Nobody saw Trump coming? Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Nobody saw Doug Ford coming? Yes, we did. Do we not see Pierre Poilievre on his way? What have we done to stop them? We're always reacting to the most obvious thing that's coming our way, and then we're like, it's time to show up and organize. The time to show up and organize is not when the devil's at your doorstep. It's when you can smell them coming from a mile away. The larger political landscape is demanding that we step out of our fear and into our power. We have to build a better collective power as and only as working class people. And let's also get past this business unionism, this transactional way. How much do I get for doing this? I don't know, I am my father's daughter. He didn't get paid anything to walk the streets and demand his freedom. He was in prison for it, but that still didn't stop him. In this part of the world, everything is a transaction. Instead of building communities of care, doing what we can, through our jobs, we're feeding the rich and diminishing ourselves. Because we're always looking for a transaction. What if that transaction is that you give and fight like hell, and what you get in return is dignity, freedom, and strength? We have to connect through our shared struggles first. We have to make lifting the bottom up our priority. I'm going to tell you, I can't reveal the details of our negotiations. But when they said you can't get more than the other union, I said, you just watch. Those cute friends of mine in City Hall to step aside at the end and let the women do their job to get it done. Lifting the bottom up means that we can't talk about me. Lifting the bottom up means looking at where we need to strengthen our power. And when we lift the bottom up, we're strengthening our unit. Because when people are busy trying to make ends meet and just survive, it's hard to fight. But if we can make it a little bit easier, take off a little bit of pressure, then we're only strengthening our unit. I know it's an ideological shift, but we are losing the game. And if we want to pretend like sitting in these rooms and chanting is going to make a fucking difference, out there's a different reality that's telling us this is not the answer. Whatever we say in here, we gotta back with action.
Yes!
Meaningful action.
Yes!
If we say lift the bottom up, we gotta lift the bottom up.
Yes!
If we say solidarity, we have to show solidarity.
Yes!
For freedom and justice for everyone. If we don't stand for freedom and justice for everyone, everywhere. That means mobilizing beyond our individual affiliations. It means creating communities of care that include everyone. And just because an issue is not your issue, it doesn't mean it's not an issue. It doesn't mean that we don't fight. It doesn't mean that we don't relate. Because let me tell you, I can guarantee that everybody in this room is a few paychecks away from not being able to make it. And that should be what binds us. So it doesn't matter if it's migrant rights, tenants' rights, LGBTQIA2S+ rights, international solidarity, rights for differently abled folks, Black, Indigenous, racialized folks. It's all the same thing. So when we divide ourselves, we strengthen the right. When we stand together, we're building a movement.
Here, here.
Just one more minute and then I'm done. The city's been telling us that for 3 months. And we're like, we're not going to wrap up until we get everything that we want. We have to hold politicians accountable, even our friends. Even our friends. We have to demand better, but we have to follow our demands with action. One of the things that I've learned from organizing is that you can't just say, change things for me. You have to be willing to want to change those things. Other people can't want it more than you. You have to want it more than them. We have to be the agent of our own change. And at Local 79 this year, our membership woke up. So did the rest of the city. Yes! So did Paul Johnson. Everybody woke up. And we started to build a movement.
Thanks to you!
Thanks to you. I'm going to end with a quote that I think is powerful, would shock you to know it comes from a Black Panther, Asante Shakur, and I've said this throughout our campaign and throughout this organizing and bargaining. Nobody in the world, nobody in history has ever gotten their freedom by appealing to the moral sense of the people who were oppressing them. I want to end with a chant that we have that's become popular, actually. Now our members are doing it on their own. If you're able to, you can stand. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But we'll just do it so that this side of the room is going to, we'll see which side of the room is louder, and then we're all going to do it together. This side of the room is going to say worker. This side of the room is going to say power. Power! That includes raising a fist, stomping your feet, doing something. When I say we need to act, the things that we say, we need to action them. Put power behind your words. And if you don't, they are just words and they will not land anywhere.
Every day and every round of gardening, we seem to be getting better and better. And of course, with recent events south of the border, this is more important than anything. We cannot let our guard down. These rights, our rights that we fought so hard for in the past, are now under attack there, and it's coming here. With the challenges of being a woman in the auto industry, I'm proud of my experience. The challenges of working shift work while raising my family, with my husband, who was also an auto worker and also did shift work. It was very tricky. It made life hard, but we made the difficult and necessary decisions to work opposite shifts. So as you can imagine, it created our own set of family challenges with that. We never saw each other during the week. We were single parents, and then on weekends, we were on totally different sleep schedules and always exhausted. The jobs in my industry are repetitive, sometimes heavy, all the time. You're sore in places you didn't know to get sore. And of course, as a woman, it's harder on you. It's harder on us as women, and so are the shift work. The jobs, but like with the men, there has been many improvements to my job. The jobs themselves are getting better, and so is the culture. I felt strong enough in the improvements at my workplace that both our daughters, Beth and Olivia, both ended up working there. So 4th generation Brennans were in the plan. I was pretty confident that if they did encounter some of the leftover misogynists or chauvinists that still skulk around the plant, that they were strong enough to handle that. They were strong, confident young women, and they were fine. They also have the support of some of the workers now. It's changed in the past 27 years, and we do support each other quite a bit more than we used to. So over the years, that has taken 5 days for challenging to get through. The worst part for me and my family was the insecurity of working in the auto industry. Since I started working there, we had NAFTA. Oh, NAFTA came before me, but NAFTA came and it's kind of cut jobs. Auto pack, the loss of the auto pack has stripped jobs. The economic crisis in 2008, 2009 has stripped jobs. To put things in perspective, in 1993, in the D3 companies alone here in Canada, we have 52,000 jobs. We have less than half of that now. And now the tariffs from Donald, good old Donald and his buddy Elon, south of the border, or to protect his border, right? To protect his border from us. That's why the tariffs are there, he says. Obviously, we know this isn't the real reason. We know that it's economic force to harm Canada and Canadians. This dictator, Donald, is a convicted felon who has continually shown no respect for women or our rights or any of the most vulnerable in our societies. We have now seen the continued disrespect for our country and all the countries around the world. He's vile, he's a greedy brute. The fact that he's been elected not once but twice makes me really sad for humanity. I am very concerned for me, for you, for our next generation, and whatever happens next. We must fight. The tariffs on steel and aluminum are going to hurt workers and their families, as well as all the companies that need that steel and aluminum to produce their products. Vehicles built in Canada and Mexico go across the border sometimes 8 times before they're finished. 8 times they'll be tariffed before they're finished. I'm pretty sure with those tariffs on the parts and products that they're pricing me out of the job. Auto jobs in the assembly plant can create up to 10 spin-off jobs. So my jobs and 10 people, and now their families are also affected. But Canadian Auto also generated $63 billion in exports in 2022. Auto is the #2 overall export in Canada, and our #1 manufacturing export. We were even deemed essential. Roads, hospitals, schools, and more depend on the revenue generated by the auto industry. Our hospitals and schools are under enough attack with our own politicians here in Ontario. We don't need Donald's help. How would life look here in Canada without the auto industry? How would my life look? It would change everything. We all benefit from the funds that go into the economy. These tariffs threaten our entire existence. We have our national president of Unifor, Lana Payne, contributing to the Council of Canadian-US Trade with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and other key strategists to provide and highlight industry and working needs during this time of threat from the US. It's important when we go to the polls, we elect a party that supports labor, supports our values, supports women. Having Lana join that team was the right thing to do. We're grateful she was there. I'm not sure if somebody else was elected, if she would have been. So we have to know that going forward. I'm not gonna lie, I am afraid. I am sad, but I'm also optimistic about our future because of gatherings like this, because of the solidarity I see in consumers searching for Canadian products, because of our strong unions, because of a government who's standing up for us. This is our country. Our country is magnificent. Beautiful, full of natural resources, and fabulous humans. We deserve to work together to enjoy what we have built. So, as the talented and beloved Gord Downey sings, there is no dress rehearsal, this is our lives. Thank you, good luck, and solidarity.